pretty neat stuff with you. So we're talking about flattening the curve. A lot of discussion about that as far as the curve goes, the whole curve as far as, the medical need and not being overwhelmed in this season, at which we're seeing already, keeping that spike from occurring, which is why we do a lot of the social distancing and things. But, we also don't want the spike to occur in our anxiety and our panic. It's so easy. Once that happens, it's a different ballgame because a different part of the brain gets activated. Once that occurs, the amygdala takes over and starts making decisions. Now that's the fight, flight, and freeze center of the brain. So it's kind of difficult to make good decisions with that part of the brain. That part of the brain isn't known for that. It is a quick response and it is a reaction. And you can think of times in your relationships, in your marriage, and your time with your kids. Most of the things we do that react to things is not probably the healthiest response. So we want to respond. But, the front part of the brain that makes great decisions in our life is not active during times when the amygdala is active. So when we're activating that panic and that anxiety center, we just don't have the part of the brain working that makes great decisions. And so, I think that's part of the problem here is that we live in, there's elements to what's going on that are really legitimate threats, and
for sure,
things we really need to act on. And so, we really want to not experience those peaks of anxiety as much and yet really, apply the things we need to in order to have a good response, so.
And actually have a response, not live in some sort of denial either. So,
yeah. We don't want to just bury things under just, thinking it'll go away. It's not that
real?
It's not that bad, those things. It's not that we need to evaluate how good or bad it is. It's just that we need to be informed without being changed. We have to be able to separate.
Right. Being informed is key.
Yeah, we got to be informed, but we have to separate with that information, separate what's fact and what is fear. And that's really the thing, because if we can separate the two, we can act out of fact and not out of fear. And that's what we really want to do. So, it is a little bit different in what we're going through right now than other type of things that have occurred. We have things happen that are intense in our culture, like a hurricane coming through town. But, in hurricanes, everybody buys up the supplies they may not have access to. They begin to do things that are significant for limited access. And what do we do if we lose power and those things? And, we live in a prone area for hurricanes, so we know those responses pretty well.
Right.
But the problem is we've never had a pandemic before, and so we tend to use different tools, so many people in our community, present company, present not included, maybe we are surrounded with toilet paper. So maybe me too. I can own that. I'm owning it. I'm going to own it. I will own it. I own it.
Yeah. He owns toilet paper.
I own a lot of toilet paper that we seem to have access to now. So we're good. And if y'all need me, just let me know. We react to those things, but we say it often though, if all you have is a hammer, every problem is a nail. And so, a lot of the things people have done out of panic in our communities are really from not having the tools to be able to respond in a way. And so it makes a big difference, and Jamie, you put it all the time. You say this is a winter, not a blizzard, and a lot of people, that's their concern. I know you've had questions, how long is this going to last?
You don't want me to answer that question, and I'm not going to answer that question. But at the same point, that's something that people do have that question all the time. How long is this going to last? How are we going to do this? And And really, it's about bringing it back and focusing in on what are you going to do today, and what is today, and bringing it back to the present.
Yeah.
And because for me to make, I can give you some ideas, but it really wouldn't be fair to anybody to put a timeline on something that we don't know.
And that's a really good point, because if you focus on the past and you fixate on the past, you're gonna be prone to some depression,
right?
And if you live in the future and the unpredictability of the future, you're gonna have a different issue. And that's really the problem here. One of the major problems people are experiencing right now is that the biggest issue is that the predictability and the control are gone, and those are two things that really anchor people.
Right.
Into the future. If you've ever been whitewater rafting, the way you stay in the raft is paddle. you paddle, because when your paddle's in the water, it holds you to the raft. When everything inside of you is like dive in the middle and pretend you're not in a raft, that's not the best way to stay in the raft. And so we really have to look at those tools and say, what can we do now? I often liken that, Jamie, to like, if you're driving up the road and let's say we want to drive to Richmond to see Melinda or somebody, and we are like driving up the road and suddenly we see something in the road that's not right. And we think, what's wrong? Immediately we do what? We take our foot off the gas,
right?
Look around. What do we need to do? What lane do I need to be in? What's going on? We assess. We're no longer thinking, how's the traffic around Williamsburg and what's going on the road? We're in that moment,
how long is it
stuck.
Take me?
And it's okay to be in that moment, but people generally, my clients, people I see, friends we have, they don't do well with their foot off the gas. Like just in general, being passive and out of control. I mean, we are controlled by the news on the CDC, a White House briefing, a governor passing a law, all these types of things. We just feel like we have very little control. So, we want to look for those things where we can actually develop some control. But
to talk about the present.
Yeah, exactly. We want to stay right where we are, where we have influence. We don't have any influence beyond right now. So,
right.
And it's just a really different kind of scenario in general. We want to regain those predictables, but, we talked about responding. Jamie and I, we've talked about this in depth, but responding to this is a little different from reacting in that there's one weapon. There's one weapon right now that will actually work at defeating this invisible enemy, as they call it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just your distancing, your social distancing.
Social distancing.
That is the only weapon that we know right now to be effective, truly effective. So yeah, absolutely. So
yeah, the social distancing is the key. I mean, I think a lot of people, it's been said by one epidemiologist we really like.
Yeah.
If all goes well, we're going to social distance, shelter in place, isolate ourselves, and then months are going to pass, weeks are going to pass, whatever time will pass, and then we will all come out from hiding and go, nothing happened. That was worthless.
Right, and
that's the goal.
That would be awesome. That, you want it to be an anticlimactic end, right? Like you want it to be, hey, we did all of this, and then we come out and we're like, well, that was a big bluff, or why did we have to do that? I hope you do have to ask that question. That would be a great question to have to ask, because that is the goal. And I really appreciated her putting it that way, because that we do kind of feel like, if you do have a hurricane, you walk outside and you're like, whoa, that's what happened. And and it's devastation, or it can be devastation. You want to walk out of a hurricane and going, wow, it didn't really hit that hard. That's awesome. And so this is this again, back to making it more of a blizzard, but we want to walk out and go, wow, we didn't get hit as hard as they're predicting.
Yeah.
But that is because we did the things that we were supposed to do, the things that we know that work. Hey, everybody. But
yeah. So let's talk about two things. We'll focus on two areas. We're going to be shorter today.
Yeah.
Because we want to do more of these, and we like you guys watching, and so we understand you probably don't have all afternoon to sit and watch an hour of pontificating.
But we don't. But not with us. Okay.
That's all we do. This is what we do. So
let's go.
So let's talk about anxiety in real life. What do we do? And so first of all, you have to understand anxiety we were talking about already, is caused by feelings. It's caused by an emotional response, a trigger that we have. And I'm not going to get into a lot on that, but just understand that that's why we have to separate fact from fear. If it is anxiety, we know it's anxiety. Do not explore anxiety. Don't go, maybe this is true. Let me search it. You have a feeling in your body and you search WebMD. What's the first thing you think? You have 2 weeks to live, and so
you're definitely going to die.
Yeah. Don't get too much into exploring anxiety. Get the facts and then figure out what you can do from there. But
things
and Jamie, you talk a lot about media hygiene and social media hygiene, and you've been doing some stuff. What have you been doing? So
today, for an example, what I did today is I took, when I named it, so there might be other names out there, but I took what I called a grounded walk. I took my phone with me, but only for the use of a camera, not for anything else, and just because I wanted to see springtime, and I wanted to record springtime, and so that was the only thing. I wasn't going to answer the phone for anything. I put myself on Do Not Disturb. It wasn't going to happen. And then for the further grounding, I went on to, as I was walking, I was very intentional with my thoughts, and I had my dog with me because he won't let me leave the house without him. And I was walking, and I would be like, okay, I can hear his paws hitting the pavement. All right, I can feel the wind in my, messing up my hair further. I could,
That's awesome.
but I could smell smell springtime. I could feel my
Yeah.
eyes starting to itch from the pollen. Just enjoying the sound of the birds and, even like a woodpecker out in the distance. Like,
Yeah.
just really focusing on the things that were right here and right around me, the present, and just really, it was probably a 20-minute walk. Wasn't that long. I had a cup of coffee with me, and it was still warm when I got back, and I used an actual mug since I didn't have to go anywhere.
That's awesome.
And so
It's a good day.
just
That's a good day.
really focusing on that. So that was one of the things that I've done, and then I've done a lot of those sorts of things, really trying to focus in on that. And
You're just staying away from
else, I'm not sure.
You can easily just sit there and be consumed with the media, consumed with what's going on. And, you have to police that yourself. You have to go, okay, what sources are actually giving me data?
Yeah.
And what sources are hyping up the negative? Now, again, there are some very bad things happening with this. It's not the point. The point is, what do you have control over? So if we don't have control, that's the first thing we do, is we know when it's anxiety. But then we have to figure out, what do we have an influence over? What do we have control over?
Yeah.
If we don't have control over what's happening in New York City, to fixate on that, other than, praying for them, or, or calling people we know and reaching out, or sending them supplies if we want to jump in and help. Those are things we can do. We can have control over. But other than that, really limiting what we're exposing ourselves to through the media to what's actually going to produce something positive here. And that's where that social media hygiene comes in. We wash our hands to keep germs off. You got to wash what's in front of your eyes a little bit if you're going to protect your mind from being inundated with worry and concern. And so, and then what I love, though, once we have control, we put our foot back on the gas. And we already talked about taking our foot off to put it back on and be proactive, be intentional about whatever you're going to do.
Right.
And that makes a big, big difference. Control your controllables.
Right.
Which is cool, because like there's all kinds of things people are doing to do that, and things we have done to be able to control what we're thinking about and kind of stay. And this is one of them. This is one of our controllables. We're like, hey, what can we do? Maybe we can encourage some people. Maybe we can help people realize, okay, there's some tools here we can use, and here's a couple going through this relatively unscathed, and we still are
Mostly.
We still are the person we both want to be quarantined with.
Yeah, we're still there.
Are we?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We're good.
I wasn't sure about that. So, okay, good. Yeah,
nice
I know.
Place to check in on that.
Yeah, I was checking in on video, so just trying to keep it real with my peeps, right, Brian? So again, that's the kind of thing we want to do. We want to control the controllables. What is it we can control? Tell you a great story. I had a friend of mine, loves to scuba dive, loves to go to Honduras to dive, and she was really concerned because the tourism really is the only source of income for the entire island, and only source for what they support. And the dive shop there supports the village, the orphanages, and different things like that too. And what was amazing was that she really didn't know what to do. Contacted them, reached out, decided, look, I want to do something to help.
Yeah.
What can I do? So ended up working with the dive site to set up some kind of funding source, like a GoFundMe type of thing. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but ended up raising $6,000 through social media within the first week. Then emailed and got a hold of Scuba Diving Magazine. They got behind it and said, great idea, let's post it.
Yeah.
They posted it. I have no idea how much money she's raised, but this is just somebody saying, okay, what do I have access to right now?
Right.
Where can I put my attention? Where can I be intentional in things? And we're going to get into it later with kids a little bit, but even with kids, now that they're out of school, if they're older, you can give them some ownership over their education. Let them set their schedule and bring you a schedule. Let them have some control back in those type of things too. You're going to find kids who have no control manipulate.
Yeah.
And so whatever we can do to gain our control back and be intentional with what we do is pretty powerful.
And I know, like, I had to actually rewrite my schedule. I'm used to working often from home, but this all from home with everybody in the same house. Nobody has the space that we're used to having, or the breaks that we're used to having for timelines and things like that. So I had to literally rewrite my schedule so that I could accommodate everything that I felt was necessary, and also be able to control the anxiety, the level, the things that are coming in. This week was a really telling week for me for that. I had I had just been getting hit left, right, and center, either from work, from my nurses, which I love them talking to me. I love hearing from them. But I was constantly I wasn't controlling the flux of information that I was getting. I'm not even sure if it's a flux at that point. It's just completely bombardment. And please keep talking to me because I can control that now. But I had to write a schedule of when I was going to be able to check my emails, when I was going to be able to check these things, when I was going to be able to put my time in for work, which is necessary, but I needed to make a timeline for myself on a daily. What am I going to do? And that includes, because breakfast is different now, everything is different. So we actually eat breakfast, with with the kids and everything. So it's great. I love that, but it's different than it was. And all of a sudden your day just goes I think I had one student I was talking to yesterday. She told me, she's like, because I had posted I needed to change some dates on something. She's like, I've lost track of all time. And I have no space. and I thought that was a really good way of looking at it. Like, that is the reality. So, that was the other thing. Being present, and then, but also make that schedule to kind of help you keep your timeline going. Cause even though I'm used to being at home, sometimes, I kind of have a hyper schedule, if you will. And I still it's a complete adjustment from what my normal routine is. There are nights we're not eating till 9:00 at night this week because that was look what time it is. It's what I've been here all day, but I'm not, so anyway.
Yeah. And that's really coming back and saying, let's be intentional. What can we do? A lot of kids are saying the social isolation. It's really funny because the kids that we have that are more socially isolating by themselves, they get a pass to be like they are. Cool. They're like, cool, you're not asking me to go do things socially.
I don't have
they
to
are living the dream. And then the kids who are more socially adjusted that are involved in activities are like, what is going on? I don't think I can survive this, And so, for those kids though, even giving them a measure of control, I've seen some people that have gone out, like both of them ordered Chipotle to the house, and then at the same time they opened up FaceTime and they ate across from each other like they're at Chipotle, things like that where you can actually just get creative with connecting. It's not ideal, but it is a proactive. Again, that's a taking control response and saying, I'm going to do that. Another thing about circle of control, is real quick, is to make sure you understand, we have enough sap to be fruitful, like a plant, or a bush, where you can, you trim back the branches you don't want to grow and you have enough energy into the areas you do. Really trim back the energy going into different places that are unused, that really just not as useful to producing fruit.
Right.
And right now, the ones that we've typically used by default have all been changed. So everyone's forced to go back and go through the process at some level. But let's wrap up on this. Panic is a big deal right now.
Yes.
Panic, sometimes you don't have a thought, your body just reacts. You start having shortness of breath, tightness in your chest, sweating, all kinds of things. And of course, if those happen, what's the first thing you're going to think? COVID. Yeah, that's helpful, right? That's so helpful when you're panicking already, but
every symptom.
Yeah. So again, your body reacts to stressors. You can't separate the mind from the body. They're connected.
No.
You can't cut the head off the body.
That's my line.
Yeah, I know that's your line. She taught me that. Like, that's the best. Like,
just kidding.
Yeah, because you're not kidding. That's true. That's true.
All right. Keep going.
Keep going. I'll keep going. So
you can't cut the head off the body.
Yeah, you can't. And so just understanding that, that panic attacks, first of all, they generally last around 7 minutes. They last a lot shorter than you think they do. It feels like it's a long time.
It feels like 700 years.
But when your body's reacting to stress, it's a lot harder to manage it through your thought process, thought replacement, and other tools and techniques therapists may teach you. So the best thing to do in those moments is to activate the body. It's impossible to have a relaxed mind if you have tense muscles, and it's impossible to have a relaxed muscles in your body if there's tension in your mind. I know, Jamie, for you, it manifests a lot in knots in your back and migraine headaches. Yeah, that's her body's reaction to stress.
Yeah.
And so, what are things that help you?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, something like a grounded walk. I do. I've mentioned in the previous time, I do yoga, but that's been really difficult with the schedule. So I've had to really write that in to I had to find something online. I had to do something different than what I'm used to doing. I work out, but then again, it's a lot of relaxation techniques from breathing to guided imagery where you just where is your safe space? Let's just go there and breathe 20 breaths, if you lose count of 20 breaths, start again. You know, you know.
Yeah.
So
And I love how you did on your walk. On your walk,
Yeah.
what could you hear? What could you feel?
Yeah.
What could you see? And even cataloging that, but with her phone, or even if your kids are journaling or video journaling, photo journaling, art journaling.
Yeah.
You know, some kind of.
I was having a hard time doing that too in the house. Like I was having a hard time meeting that need just with everything that's going on. So that was part of the take to the out. To take to the neighborhood, not just across. Don't go traveling across the country or anything, but like just taking to my my neighborhood. Yeah,
those are great things to do. And so again, just keep those things in mind too. And I just want to kind of shout out a little bit of what you just said already too.
Yeah.
I'm looking at stuff with the nursing staffs across the country right now, and I'm reminded almost of the video I see from school shootings or something like that, where you see everybody running away from a shooter and you see the police running in, you see firemen running into a burning building, everyone else is running out. We've got these heroes in these settings that are running in, caring for people without the protective equipment they need, that are just killing it. They're doing an amazing job. And so if you got anybody around you that's going through that, if you do me a favor and Jamie a favor, just proactively, again, that's the key word here. What can you do to kind of support them? And whether it's your kids making a card, thanking them and sending it to the hospitals.
Huge.
Yeah, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. They may not have what they need and they're going into a pretty rough place, putting their own life in danger and their health and safety in risk to help others who are really struggling. So whatever you can do, again, don't get caught up in the sadness of it. Instead, turn that around proactively, look for something you can do, and fire that off and do it. And so we'd love to hear what you come up with too. If you guys are coming up with cool stuff you're doing, we know the Haley family, you guys are gaming together over FaceTime and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff going on. If you have ideas, let's just share them around a little bit. And so we can kind of, make sure
they're making masks. I mean, I'm not sure. We don't even know exactly where that's going to, how supported that is, but they're doing something that is proactive. So
what can you control?
Right.
Be proactive, put your foot back on the gas and go ahead with that right now. And and you'll be in a lot better place.
Yeah. So will your community. So,
awesome.
What can you offer your community? It's different now.
Yeah, definitely. And we have a whole video we're going to do on that, on where your purpose intersects with human need, and along with some other stuff too coming up here, and some couple stuff too. So anyways, hope that's helpful, and we'll catch you guys probably tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.